The sky turned black and no one understood why. First, a few stars disappeared. People thought it was just clouds or pollution. But then more stars vanished, one after another, as if someone was turning off the lights of the universe. Astronomers, all over the world, looked through their telescopes and saw something strange. Giant shadows moving in space. They were not natural. They were ships, big ships, alien ships. Within hours, all satellites stopped working. No internet, no TV, no signals. The world fell silent, and fear began to grow. On every screen that still worked, a message appeared. It was not in any human language, but somehow everyone could understand it. It said, "Do not resist. We are the Zarneth fleet. Your species will surrender." People screamed. Others cried. Some ran into the streets. They thought this was the end of the world. The news showed dark shapes in the sky, moving slowly over cities. The Zarneth ships didn't attack. Not yet. They were waiting for Earth to kneel. But not everyone was afraid. In a small town far from the big cities, a boy named Rehan stood outside his house and looked at the sky. His father told him long ago that something like this might happen. Rehan didn't believe it then. But now, seeing the sky full of alien machines, he remembered his father's words. One day, they will come, and when they do, we will be ready. Rehan wasn't scared. Instead, he smiled. That night, something strange happened in the forest near his home. Rehan was walking with his flashlight when he saw a bright light fall from the sky. It wasn't like a meteor. It came down slowly, quietly, and landed with a soft thud between the trees. Curious, he ran toward it. When he reached the crash site, he saw a round metal pod, steaming and hissing. It had a small red light blinking on the side. He hid behind a tree and watched. The pod opened with a sharp hiss, and smoke rose from it. A figure stepped out. Tall, human-shaped, but not normal. Its body was made of silver armor. Its eyes glowed blue, and it moved with perfect balance. Rehan's heart pounded. The figure looked around, then turned toward him. Rehan froze. The figure spoke in a clear voice, deep and strong. "You are not afraid." Rehan shook his head. "No. Should I be?" The figure paused, then said, "No. You are right not to fear." Rehan stepped closer. "Who are you?" "I am Unit 7X, part of Earth's deep defense program. I was sent years ago, hidden among the stars, waiting for this moment." Rehan blinked. "You're human?" "I was made by humans. My mission is to protect this planet." "But no one knew about you," Rehan said. "That was the plan," 7X replied. "They had to believe Earth was weak. The Zarneth expected fear from humanity. Instead, we will give them something else." "What?" Rehan asked. The machine's glowing eyes narrowed. "We will give them a reason to run." Back in orbit, the Zarneth fleet observed the planet. Their leader, High Commander Volnar, stood inside his ship's command room. He watched the Earth spin slowly below. He had invaded many worlds. None had fought back. Every species he conquered begged for mercy. He expected the same from Earth. But Earth was silent. No surrender. No messages. Nothing. He ordered a drone scout to fly over a major city. It did not return. Then, another scout disappeared. Volnar frowned. "Why are they not afraid?" he growled. His second officer replied, "Perhaps they are hiding their fear." Volnar looked at the Earth again. "No, this is something else. Something is wrong." Back on the surface, Rehan walked with Unit 7X through the forest. The robot opened a hidden panel in a large rock. Inside was a control screen, glowing with maps and numbers. Rehan stared. "What is this place?" "A command node," said 7X. "There are thousands like it around the world, hidden, waiting." Rehan stepped closer. "What happens now?" 7X pressed a button. Far away, deep under Earth's surface, machines began to wake up. Old computers blinked to life. Sleeping satellites reconnected in secret frequencies. Soldiers hidden in plain sight received silent orders. All over the world, the real Earth began to move. Rehan looked at the screen. A map showed red dots, Zarneth, ships in orbit. But then green dots appeared, hidden human defenses activating one by one. "No one told us," Rehan said. "They couldn't," 7X replied. "To win this war, the enemy had to believe we were weak, but we were never weak." Rehan looked at the sky. "So, what now?" 7X's voice was cold but calm. "Now we laugh." In space, Volnar's screen lit up. A message had been intercepted. It was human-made, short and simple. "We see you." And then, the first Zarneth ship exploded. Volnar stood in silence as alarms screamed. More ships blinked out of his radar. His officers panicked. "They are attacking us?" "No," Volnar whispered. "They were always ready. We were blind." And far below, on Earth, Rehan laughed. Not from madness. Not from fear, but from knowing the truth. The sky was no longer theirs. It never had been. The world still looked quiet, but everything had changed. Somewhere deep in the Earth, secret machines were waking up. The Zarneth didn't know. They still thought humans were weak. They still believed Earth was afraid. But something dark and silent had started moving beneath their feet. Rehan followed Unit 7X through the forest. The robot walked fast, its metal legs making no sound. Rehan asked many questions, but 7X only answered some. There was no time to explain everything. "We must reach the uplink tower," the robot said. "There are others waiting for my signal." "Others? Like you?" Rehan asked. "Yes," 7X said. "Some human, some machine, all ready." The robot stopped at a wide, empty field. It looked like nothing special, just grass and trees. But then 7X raised its arm and pressed something on its wrist. The ground began to shake. A piece of land opened up like a door. A small lift rose from below. They stepped on it and it took them underground. What Rehan saw next made his heart race. It was a room filled with glowing lights, weapons, and old screens. But these screens were not broken. They were alive with data, maps of the world, positions of Zarneth ships, and other blinking dots in space that were not from Earth, or maybe not anymore. "Where are these other signals coming from?" Rehan asked. "From the lost colonies," said 7X. "Lost colonies? But Earth doesn't have any colonies." 7X looked at him. That's what the world was told, but it was a lie, a necessary lie. Rehan couldn't believe it. "You mean there are humans on other planets?" "Many," said 7X. "And they've been waiting too." While Rehan tried to understand, the robot activated the uplink. A soft humming sound filled the room. Far away on a quiet moon orbiting Saturn, a hidden satellite turned on. It sent a message faster than light, straight into deep space. In the shadows of another star, a reply came back. "Signal received. Operation Black Band begins." At the same moment, far above Earth, one of the Zarneth scout ships flew over the Atlantic Ocean. It scanned the planet looking for signs of life or weapons. But then it froze. Its sensors showed something strange, an energy spike coming from under the sea. Before the Zarneth pilot could react, a dark object rose from the ocean, long and silent, like a shadow with teeth. It was a human submarine, but not any kind the world had seen. It looked alien. It had no name, no number, no flag. It simply opened fire. The Zarneth scout ship exploded in the air, without warning. Back in the flagship, Commander Volnar roared in anger. "Who did this?" he shouted. No one could answer. Volnar looked at the Earth. "I want full control. Send all drones. Crush every signal. Find the source." But before his officers could act, a message flashed across their main screen. It came from Earth. It showed a group of people, men and women dressed in black armor standing in a dark room with a single white flag behind them. The message was short. "You looked for fear. You found us instead." And then the screen went dark. Rayhan watched as the uplink room lit up with more green lights. Each light was another secret base, another hidden system turning on. Some were under deserts, some were in the oceans, some were even in orbit, disguised as space junk. X turned to Rayhan. Now they know we're not afraid. Are we really going to fight them? Rayhan asked. We already are, 7X said, but not like they expect. Suddenly the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed through the tunnel. A second later, alarm sounded. They found us? Rayhan asked. X checked the screen. No, that wasn't them, that was one of ours. Outside in the sky, people looked up and saw something new. A massive black triangle moved silently across the clouds. It was not one of the Zarnath ships. It moved faster, smoother, and it had no lights. It simply hovered and vanished. The people watching didn't know it yet, but that ship came from Mars, one of Earth's lost colonies. It had returned home. On the Zarnath flagship, more ships vanished from their radar. More scout drones went dark. Volnar grew quiet. His claws dug into the metal of his command chair. They are not fighting like others, he said. They are using tricks, shadows, old tech, impossible tech. His second officer whispered. They are laughing at us. Volnar stared at Earth. No, they are not laughing, he said. They are hunting. And far below, in the underground base, Rayhan watched the screen as more signals appeared. What do we do now? He asked. X paused. Then it said something Rayhan did not expect. We prepare the weapon we never wanted to use. And what is it? Rayhan asked. X looked at him. A memory. To be continued. The Zarnath fleet spread across the sky like a black curtain. More than 100 warships moved in orbit above Earth. Commander Volnar believed the humans would finally respond with fear. But Earth remained silent. No surrender, no panic, just quiet, too quiet. Deep below the surface of the planet, Rayhan stood beside Unit 7X in the uplink base. More signals were coming in, green lights blinking faster now. Other bases were waking up. Silent armies, hidden satellites, secret codes. Still, the world above had no idea. People were living in darkness, without internet or news. The alien ships had blocked all communication. But underground, in places no one remembered, humanity's true defense was coming online. Rayhan stepped toward the center console. What is this memory weapon you talked about? 7X didn't speak at first. It connected to the main console and downloaded a file. A video played on the screen. Rayhan watched in silence. The video showed something shocking. An old space station orbiting a red planet. People were standing in front of a strange alien machine. They were humans, but not like now. They wore armor that looked alive. Their eyes glowed. And behind them was a flag, a black circle with red stars. Rayhan turned to 7X. Who are they? The first colonists, 7X replied. They left Earth 150 years ago. Everyone believed they died, but they didn't. They survived? Rayhan asked. They did more than survive, 7X said. They evolved. They learned. They found enemies worse than the Zarnath, and they won. Rayhan looked at the screen again. Why didn't they return? They were told not to, said 7X. It was all part of a larger plan, Project Laughter. Rayhan frowned. Laughter? 7X nodded. The Zarnath fear strength, but they cannot understand joy, humor, sarcasm. These confuse their minds. That's why this operation was named Laughter. We would let them think we were weak. Then when they came with fear, we would respond with something they don't understand. Confidence, Rayhan whispered. Exactly, said 7X. Weapons alone don't win wars. Belief does. Above Earth, the Zarnath began jamming every signal. They couldn't find where the attacks were coming from. Scout drones kept disappearing. Ships malfunctioned. Even worse, some of their own systems began playing strange sounds. Human laughter. It echoed through their ships. Unnatural. mocking. The Zarnath officers were confused. Their AI systems, designed for war, couldn't process the strange emotions. Some began to break down. "What is this noise?" one soldier shouted. "It's not music. It's not a threat. It's a message," Volnar said. "They are laughing at us." Just then, a loud boom shook the flagship. A nearby ship exploded, no weapons, no warning, just gone. "How?" Volnar shouted. His officers checked the logs. A small Earth satellite had passed near the ship before it blew up. But the satellite was made in 1982. An old, dead satellite. Nothing. Dangerous, or so they thought. Back on Earth, 7X explained to Rehan. "We turned our old tech into traps. The Zarnath copied everything we sent into space. But they didn't know we were sending viruses, bombs, and tricks." "You let them steal it?" Rehan asked. Exa smiled. At least, the lights in its eyes looked like a smile. "Yes, we let them think we were primitive. But we were programming. Every piece of junk they collected." A screen on the wall showed the Zarnath fleet breaking into chaos. Ships went dark. Explosions bloomed silently in orbit. Rehan watched in awe. They didn't see it coming. "No," said 7X. "Because they were looking for firepower. But our strongest weapon was patience." More green lights lit up on the screen. Earth's colonies were finally responding. From the moons of Jupiter. From the dark side of Mercury. From places no one even knew were inhabited. They were returning, not as explorers, as warriors. From a hidden base on Mars, a new type of human ship launched. Sleek, black, deadly. It looked nothing like Earth tech, because it wasn't. Rehan stared at the new signal. "What is that ship?" 7X answered. "That is the Laughter." "Why that name?" Rehan asked. "Because its first weapon is not a laser. It's a joke. In space, the ship appeared on Zarnath scanners. It sent one message, knock knock. The Zarnath AI tried to decode it. The command systems failed. One ship fired at the message itself, panic, but the message played again, knock knock. Then the ship fired. 10 Zarnath cruisers vanished in seconds. Back in the flagship, Volnar stood in frozen silence. He looked at Earth. He looked at the messages, the strange laughter, the impossible attacks. "They have been lying this whole time," he whispered. And finally, he understood. Humanity wasn't afraid. Humanity had never been afraid. And now the Zarnath had no idea what was coming next. High above Earth, the Zarnath fleet was in chaos. Their ships, giant war machines, armed with weapons strong enough to destroy cities, were falling apart. Not from bombs, not from lasers, from confusion. Their computers were crashing. Their AIs were shutting down. Strange messages kept appearing on their screens. Why did the chicken cross the road? To invade a planet that fights back. And then, boom. Each joke came with a virus. A code hidden in the message. The Zarnath didn't understand humor, so they didn't know it was a trap. Every time they tried to read the joke, their systems failed. On Earth, Rehan stood beside Unit 7X, watching as another Zarnath ship exploded on the screen. "They don't get it," Rehan whispered. "They never will," 7X replied. "They don't know what a joke is. Their minds are too serious, too cold, and that is their weakness." "But we understand," Rehan said, "because we laugh." 7X nodded, and we hid our weapons in that laughter. From a mountain base in Asia, a powerful signal launched into orbit. It wasn't a missile, it was a joke database, 100,000 jokes in all languages. The Zarnath fleet intercepted it, and that was the final mistake. Their main data system, called Zirka Core, tried to translate the entire database. Within seconds, the core overheated. Systems failed. Half the fleet went dark. Some ships turned their weapons on each other, confused by fake targeting data hidden in the joke lines. On the Zarnath flagship, alarms rang. Smoke filled the control room. Commander Volnar roared, "Shut it down, all systems shut down." "It's too late," cried one of his officers. "The core is infected. The data, they called it a knock-knock protocol. We thought it was a weapon. It's not. It's a joke. Volnar slammed his fist on the panel. We are warriors. We do not lose to jokes. But even as he said it, the main screen flickered. A human face appeared. It was not a general. It was not a soldier. It was an old man with a white beard and sunglasses. He sat on a chair, holding a cup of tea. He smiled. You expected fear, the man said. But Earth doesn't break that easy. Volnar shouted, Who are you? The man sipped his tea. I'm just someone who remembers the old world, when humor was a weapon, when sarcasm was armor, and when humans survived not with strength, but with spirit. Volnar growled. You think this is funny? The man smiled wider. Oh yes. Very funny. And the screen cut to black. Far below, in the underground command center, Rehan laughed for the first time in days. It wasn't a scared laugh, it was real, loud, honest. X tilted its head. You understand now. Yes, Rehan said. We didn't fight with guns. We fought with something they never prepared for. Emotion, 7X said. Chaos, irony. Humans don't just survive war. We turn war into stories, into songs, into jokes. Suddenly, a red light flashed on the screen. Another signal. This, one from deep space. Rehan leaned in. Where's that coming from? 7X scanned the code. It's from the lost signal. We haven't heard it in decades. What is it? Rehan asked. It's a message, said 7X. From someone, or something, that's been watching. The message was short. They were not your real enemy. Rehan's smile faded. What does that mean? Before 7X could answer, a massive explosion appeared on the screen. One of the Zarneth command ships had self-destructed. The others began, pulling back, scattering like frightened animals. The Zarneth were retreating. Commander Volnar gave the final order himself. Leave this system. Burn the maps. Earth is cursed. His officers obeyed. In minutes, the sky above Earth began to clear. The black ships disappeared, jumping into deep space. Humanity had won. But Rehan didn't cheer. He looked at the message again. They were not your real enemy. 7X turned to him. It means the war is not over. You think there's something worse than the Zarneth? Rehan asked. X's voice lowered. I don't think. I know. Rehan looked up at the sky. It was blue again. The stars were returning. But something in his heart told him this was just the beginning. Earth had survived the first invasion. Because Earth laughed when others screamed. But now, someone else was watching. Someone who didn't laugh. Someone who waited for the Zarneth to fail. And now, they were coming. The Zarneth fleet was gone. The sky above Earth was clear again. People came out of hiding. They cheered. They hugged. For the first time in weeks, the world felt alive again. But Rehan did not feel safe. Inside the underground base, he sat beside Unit 7X, staring at the strange signal that had arrived just after the Zarneth fled. They were not your real enemy. That message kept playing in his mind. Rehan turned to 7X. Who sent that? Was it from the colonies? 7X shook its head. No, it came from somewhere else. Outside our systems. Outside our galaxy. Then who? Rehan asked. Something that has been watching us for a long time, 7X replied. Something even the Zarneth fear. Rehan felt a chill run through him. How do you know? 7X opened an old hidden file. It was labeled Watcher Protocol, Class Black. The file showed dark images, blurry shapes, huge ships like floating cities, made of living metal. No crew, no sound, just presence. The Watchers, 7X said. That's what we called them. Rehan frowned. So they're not from Earth, not from the colonies. No, 7X said. We don't know where they're from. We only know one thing. They arrive after wars, after worlds fall, as if they're waiting for silence, like Vultures, Rayhan whispered. Yes, 7X said. But worse, they don't feed on bodies, they feed on knowledge. Rayhan leaned in. What do they want from us? Everything, 7X replied. Our language, our thoughts, our memories, and when they finish, nothing remains. Rayhan looked up at the main screen. New signals were appearing, slow-moving objects entering. The edge of the solar system. No heat, no radio waves, just movement. Earth's deep space scanners began to detect strange distortions in space, like ripples, as if something massive but invisible was coming closer. From one of the old colony satellites near Pluto, a final message came in before silence. It's here. Then nothing. Total blackout. Rayhan stood up. We need to warn the colonies. Call back the fleets. We can't, 7X said. The Watchers are not like the Zarneth. They don't come to fight, they come to erase, and you can't fight what you can't see. But we beat the Zarneth, Rayhan said. We tricked. Then we made them run. X turned to face him, because they had pride, ego, emotions. The Watchers have none. They don't get angry. They don't feel fear. They just collect. Outside the base, the world was celebrating. Cities were lighting up again. People danced in the streets. They thought the war was over. But in the sky, the stars began to blink out one by one, not from clouds, not from night, but from something vast blocking the light. The news called it a glitch. The scientists said it was an atmospheric phenomenon. But in the command base, Rayhan knew the truth. They're already here, he whispered. X nodded. And we don't know what they want first. Our minds or our history. Suddenly, the base's alarms went off. A new message appeared on screen. It was not from Earth, not from any human signal, just 2 words. We remember. Rayhan stared at the screen. What does that mean? 7X was quiet. Then it said something strange. It means, they've seen us before. You mean Earth? Rayhan asked. No, 7X said. You. What? The Watchers. Don't just come for planets. They follow individuals. Those who remember too much. Those who ask questions. Rayhan stepped back. Why me? I don't know, said 7X. But they know your name. Rayhan's voice shook. How? The screen changed. His face appeared. The message repeated. We remember Rayhan. And with that, all power in the base shut off. Darkness, silence. Only Rayhan's breathing. And then, in the deep echoing shadows, a soft voice, not human, whispered inside his mind. We have waited for your story. The power was gone. The underground. Base sat in silence. No lights, no machines, just darkness. But Rayhan could still feel something. A presence. Not physical. Mental. It was inside his head. Whispering. Not words. Memories. Some were his. Some were not. He stood still. Afraid to breathe. His name echoed through the empty air. We remember Rayhan. Then the lights returned. Slowly. One by one. X rebooted. Its eyes flickered on. Are you okay? It asked. Rayhan didn't answer right away. His hands were shaking. I heard something, he said. It spoke inside my mind. 7X scanned him. There is a signal inside your neural patterns that's not normal. I saw places I've never been, Rayhan whispered. I saw Earth, but older, different, like a memory that doesn't belong to me. 7X was quiet for a moment. Then it said, there is something I need to show you. It led Rayhan through a hidden tunnel. A path no one had used in decades. At the end was a thick door made of black metal. No signs, no locks, just one scanner. X placed its hand on the panel. The door opened. Inside was a large chamber filled with old machines. Some looked ancient. Others were beyond modern design, floating, humming, alive. In the center was a tall device, a glass chamber filled with glowing blue liquid. X called it the memory vault. Rayhan stepped closer. What is this? 7X explained. It stores the memories of Earth's forgotten past. Things too dangerous to leave in history books. Like what? Rehan asked. Like the truth about you, 7X replied. Rehan froze. What are you talking about? He said. I'm just a tech. I worked on communication satellites. No, said 7X. That's only part of the truth. You were chosen long ago, your memory was locked, your real life hidden. Why? Rehan whispered. Because you saw them, 7X said. The Watchers. When you were a child, they came to Earth once before, but no one believed you. So, they erased the memory. But I remember nothing, Rehan said. X pointed to the vault. You will now. Rehan placed his hand on the glass. The chamber lit up, and memories poured into his mind. He saw himself, as a boy, in a forest, looking up at the stars. One star moved strangely. It opened like a flower. A black shape came down, silent, cold. It didn't speak. It didn't land. It only watched. Rehan remembered hiding, watching it in return, for hours, days. Then, it saw him. And that's where the memory had stopped until now. Now he saw the rest. The Watcher had touched his mind, not to harm him, but to store something inside him, a key, a part of their data. He hadn't just seen them. He had been carrying their message for years, and they had come back to retrieve it. Rehan pulled his hand away from the vault. His body shook. His eyes were full of tears. I was the reason they came here, he said. They didn't want Earth. They wanted what's inside me. Yes, 7X said. You are the vault now. Suddenly the base shook. Alarms returned. Red lights flashed. Multiple entries detected in low orbit, said 7X. They're not ships, they're drops. Quiet, like raindrops, but made of metal. Rehan ran to the control screen. The Watchers had arrived. Dozens of small objects were landing around the world. Silent, invisible to normal radar. They weren't attacking, they were scanning, digging, searching, for him. Rehan's heart pounded. What do I do? You must leave, said 7X. Go to the last safe place. Where? 70X turned toward a dark tunnel. Where it all began. The place of your first memory, the forest. That's where they made contact. That's where the final code will unlock. Rehan nodded. He didn't want to go, but he had no choice. The world was still waking up from the Zarneth War. People were rebuilding. But they had no idea that something worse was already here. Earth didn't win peace. It just won time. And now, time was running out. As Rehan stepped into the tunnel, the Watchers moved through the night sky, quiet, cold, patient. They had waited for him, and now the key was moving. The forest was silent. Rehan stepped through the trees, the cold wind brushing past him. It was the same forest from his memory, the place where, as a child, he had first seen the Watchers. He was not the same person now. Inside him was knowledge he didn't understand, memories that didn't belong to him. The Watchers had stored something inside him long ago, and now they wanted it back. But Rehan didn't plan to give it. He reached the center of the forest, a small clearing with old stones arranged in a circle. He didn't remember placing them, but somehow they had always been there. Behind him, 7X followed silently. This is the spot, 7X said. The signal is strongest here. Rehan stepped into the circle. The ground lit up. A soft hum filled the air. Above the trees, something began to descend. Slow, smooth. Not a ship, not a drone, a watcher. It had no shape, just a floating dark form like liquid shadow. No lights, no sound, but Rehan could feel it speaking directly to him. Memory belongs to its maker. He stood tall. Then I am the maker now, he said. The watcher pulsed with energy. The trees shook. Return the code. Rehan closed his eyes. Inside him he could feel it. The hidden message, the locked data, a final memory buried deep. He reached into it, and suddenly, he saw everything. He saw the first war with the Watchers, long before the Zarneth ever existed. A time when Earth had reached too far into deep space. A time when humanity had made contact and paid the price. The Watchers erased worlds by removing their stories, their memories, their meaning. But Earth had fought back once, not with weapons, but by hiding memory inside a child. That child was Rehan. He had been protected, forgotten, reshaped into a normal life. Until now. Rehan opened his eyes. The Watcher moved closer. But Rehan raised his hand and activated the final code. All around the forest, the stones lit up. Memory exploded into light. Thousands of stories, laughter, pain, art, songs, old Earth jokes, human tragedy, human strength. It was everything that made humanity human. And the Watcher paused. It did not understand. It had taken memories from many species, but never one like Earth. Never one that fought back with stories. Rehan stepped forward. You erase memories, he said. But we are memory. That's why you fear us. The Watcher's form began to shake. It tried to retreat, but the light from the circle grew stronger. The signal was spreading. Around the world, every hidden vault opened, every backup file, every piece of culture, comedy, and chaos humanity ever made, rushed through the air, one massive upload to the Watchers, and they couldn't stop it. They began to change. Their forms broke apart. They tried to shut down, but the memories kept coming. We are not silent. We are not perfect. We are not afraid. But we remember. And in that remembering, we fight. The Watcher in the forest let out a deep, unnatural sound. It twisted, turned, and finally shattered into nothing. Above Earth, the others did the same. One by one they vanished, not destroyed, overloaded. They had tried to collect Earth's story, but Earth had too much story to hold. In the forest, Rehan collapsed to his knees, exhausted, tears in his eyes, but smiling. It was over. 7X stepped forward. You did it. Rehan looked up. We all did. Humanity. All because we laughed at a fleet, 7X said. Rehan laughed weakly and told bad chicken jokes. For the first time, 7X smiled. Far above, the sky was clear again. The stars returned. But now they weren't watching Earth. Earth was watching them.